Hello everyone, Joel here. If I hear one more person tell me that The Witcher or Baldur's Gate is an underrated hidden gem, I am going to lose my absolute mind. We get it, you like popular things, but today we are diving deep into the actual gaming trenches. We're talking about the absolute masterpieces that somehow sold about 3 copies, 2 of which were bought by the developer's mom. These are 15 legendary RPGs that everyone completely missed while they were busy playing Skyrim for the 20th time. First up, let's talk about a game that people love to hate so much they completely missed how unhinged and brilliant it actually is. It's the Two Worlds series. Look, the voice acting in the first game sounds like they dragged a random guy off the street, handed him a script written in Old English, and threatened his family. It is wonderfully terrible, but if you actually push past the glorious jank, the magic system in Two Worlds 2 is unironically one of the most robust, broken, and insanely fun systems ever put into an RPG. You can literally craft a spell that rains an anvil storm onto your enemies, and guess what? Against all human logic, Two Worlds 3 has been sitting in development hell for years, meaning Topware is still clinging to this fever dream. Play it for the memes, stay for the absolute chaotic power trip.
That's rich.
Before Larian Studios became the absolute kings of the gaming industry and made everyone want to hook up with a vampire elf, they made Divinity 2 Developer's Cut. And no, this isn't Original Sin, this is an over-the-shoulder action RPG where you can literally transform into a fire-breathing dragon. Why did everyone sleep on this? Probably because the marketing back then was non-existent, but it features some of the snarkiest, funniest writing in any RPG ever made. You can read people's minds, and the game constantly mocks you for doing it. It's packed with that classic Larian humor, great loot, and aerial dragon combat. If you want to see where the Baldur's Gate 3 geniuses actually honed their craft, you need to play this immediately. If you look at Knights of the Chalice, you might think it's an old spreadsheet from 1995. It looks like it was drawn in MS Paint by a developer who was fueled entirely by caffeine and spite. But holy crap, this is secretly one of the most mechanically perfect turn-based RPGs ever coded. It implements the Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 rule set better than almost any multi-million-dollar AAA game on the market. The enemy AI doesn't just attack you, it actively exploits your weaknesses, flanks your squishy wizards, and ruins your entire evening. It's brutal, it's ugly, and it's absolute tactical perfection. Plus, the solo dev is still throwing out crazy updates for the sequel on Steam to this day, so the hardcore community is thriving in the shadows. Back in the day, LucasArts made a tactical RPG about gladiators, and instead of buying it, everyone decided to play Star Wars instead. Big mistake. Gladius is an absolute hidden masterpiece. You run a school of gladiators, recruit ogres, wolves, and minotaurs, and fight in massive arenas. The coolest selling point, it features a swing meter mechanic for attacks, meaning you can't just mindlessly click buttons, you actually need timing and skill to land crits. It's like Fire Emblem met Gladiator, but with way more blood and fewer waifus. It never got a sequel, it never got a remaster, and it's trapped on ancient consoles, but it is worth emulation just to experience the best arena management simulator ever conceived.
In the name of King Orin!
Okay, of course.
Troika Games is legendary for releasing games that are absolute masterpieces of writing and completely broken piles of code at launch. The Temple of Elemental Evil is the poster child for this. It was so buggy at release that looking at it funny could crash your computer. Because of that, everyone skipped it. But today, thanks to the heroic modding community fixing the jank, it stands as one of the most faithful and deeply tactical D&D adaptations ever created. The turn-based combat is incredibly deep, and your alignment actually drastically changes the opening and ending of the story. It's raw, unfiltered, classic CRPG goodness that deserved way more love than it ever received.
Okay. Okay.
Most people only know the Summoner series because of that ancient viral Easter egg video where the fantasy characters play Dungeons and Dragons and yell about casting magic missile. It's a classic joke, but the actual games were completely slept on. Volition made a genuinely dark, unique high fantasy world with an awesome real-time chain attack combat system. You don't just summon a monster to do a flashy move and leave. You actually control them as full party members while risking your own character's sanity. It had an incredibly deep political plot that didn't treat the player like an idiot. It's a tragic casualty of the early PS2 era that absolutely deserves a modern revival. Do you miss the days when games didn't hold your hand, didn't give you quest markers, and actively wanted you to step on a pressure plate that shoots poison darts into your face? Then you missed Legend of Grimrock. It single-handedly revived the old-school grid-based dungeon crawler genre. You control a grid of 4 prisoners trying to escape a massive puzzle-filled mountain. The atmosphere is thick, the puzzles require actual brain cells, and managing your grid in real-time combat against giant spiders is pure tension. It's a masterclass in minimalist design that modern gamers completely overlooked because they need a glowing golden trail to find the nearest bathroom. Before Arkane Studios made Dishonored or Deathloop, they made Arx Fatalis. The sun literally dies, forcing all the fantasy races to move underground and live in a massive network of caves. The world building is incredibly immersive, but the absolute best mechanic is the magic system. To cast a spell, you literally have to draw arcane runes in the air with your mouse in real time, while a giant rat is trying to chew your shins off. It's clunky, it's terrifying, and it's brilliant. Everyone completely missed it because it launched right next to The Elder Scrolls 3, which sucked up all the oxygen in the room. It's the ultimate immersive sim RPG that time forgot. Before we go into the list, I want to give you my recommendation for some of the best deals in instant gaming right now, especially if you're tight on budget. We knew that instant gaming always give us so many crazy deals for your favorite games, like these titles for example. I mean, can you believe these prices? If you love RPGs, there's no way you never heard of these masterpieces, and to think that you can get them under $10 or even $5, it's an absolute steal. All you have to do is just click my link in the description below, start searching for your favorite games, and use the activation code on your chosen platform. By using my link, you're not only saving tons of money, but also helping me to support this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. EA had the Lord of the Rings license in the early 2000s and decided to make a game. But instead of an action game, they literally just copied the exact code and combat engine of Final Fantasy X, slapped a coat of Tolkien paint on it, and called it a day. And honestly, it was a stroke of genius. You play as a B-team fellowship following right behind the main movie characters cleaning up their messes. You get turn-based combat, a great turn timeline mechanic, and an awesome evil mode where you can play as the monsters and murder your own party. It's a bizarre corporate clone that somehow turned out to be an absolute banger.
magic. Perhaps.
Kingdoms of Amalur is the biggest financial tragedy in gaming history. The studio went completely bankrupt, the state of Rhode Island lost millions of dollars, and the game flopped hard despite having lore written by R.A. Salvatore and art by Todd McFarlane. Everyone missed it because it originally launched right in the shadow of Skyrim. But the combat in this game puts every other open-world RPG to absolute shame. It plays like a high-speed hack-and-slash action game where you can fluidly weave magic, daggers, and giant greatswords together. It finally got a Re-Reckoning remaster recently, so you have absolutely zero excuses to skip this fluid combat masterpiece again. Look, we all love BioShock. It's a classic, but BioShock is just a streamlined, watered-down spiritual successor to the absolute terrifying god-tier RPG that is System Shock 2. You are isolated on a spaceship where a rogue AI named Shodan is constantly gaslighting you and calling you an insect. It's a perfect blend of survival horror and deep sci-fi RPG character customization. You can spec into hacking, weapons, or weird psychic powers, and the game never bails you out if you build your character poorly. Thanks to Night Dive Studios dropping a gorgeous 25th anniversary remaster, it finally plays beautifully on modern rigs and consoles. Stop being a coward and go face Shodan.
We got one of the regeneration rooms working again. I cut Shodan's connection to the medical CPU, and that allowed us to fix the cyborg override protocol.
I think that's my line. What the hell's going on?
Obsidian Entertainment decided to make an espionage spy RPG, and it turned out to be one of the most reactive, brilliant, and completely broken games ever made. Alpha Protocol lets you play as a spy, and the dialogue system is on a strict timer, forcing you to think on your feet. You can choose to talk like Jason Bourne, James Bond, or a complete unhinged psycho like Jack Bauer, and characters will remember exactly how you treated them. The gunplay at launch felt like shooting Nerf darts in a hurricane, which scared everyone away. But the sheer level of choice and consequence in this game makes Mass Effect look like a linear visual novel. Back in the year 2000, Westwood Studios released a fast-paced action RPG called Nox. It was colorful, fast, incredibly smooth, and featured brilliant physics-based puzzles and trap mechanics. Sadly for Westwood, Blizzard released a tiny, completely unknown game called Diablo 2 literally a few months later, completely crushing Nox out of existence. It's a massive shame because Nox isn't just a mindless looter. It plays more like a top-down wizard action game where line of sight matters and positioning is everything. The multiplayer was legendary, the campaign had 3 completely different storylines based on your class, and it remains one of the most unfair casualties of bad release timing ever. If you want an RPG that combines deep tactical turn-based combat with managing a literal squad of unhinged mercenary sociopaths, you missed Jagged Alliance 2. You are hired to overthrow a dictator in a fictional country, and you have to use a laptop to hire mercenaries off the dark web. Every single merc has a unique personality, voice lines, and interpersonal drama. If you pair 2 mercs who hate each other, they will literally fight or quit the team. The tactical depth is insane, down to managing the percentage of aiming chance for body parts. Jagged Alliance 3 came out recently and breathed new life into the franchise, but the pure, unadulterated simulation jank of the second game is legendary.
What's up? What's up?
And finally, the #1 spot goes to a game that is technically a total conversion mod, but stands as one of the greatest RPG achievements of the modern era, the Chronicles of Myrtana Archolos. Built on the ancient Gothic 2 engine, a team of passionate developers spent years creating a massive, professionally voiced open-world prequel that completely outclasses most AAA RPG releases. It captures that brutal old-school European RPG design where a stray wolf can delete your health bar in 2 seconds, but every piece of progress feels incredibly rewarding. It sits at an overwhelmingly positive rating on Steam for a reason. It is a flawless love letter to the golden era of RPGs that mainstream gamers completely overlook. Alright boys, I think that's it for today. I know that there are other games that I haven't mentioned yet, so how about sharing your favorites that probably deserve the spot in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe the channel if you don't want to miss another great list. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Peace!